Yeah, so you have this here. This is the BLENDi itself, and this is the bottom blending base, and you can actually detach this and make it with our detachable base into a water bottle, but I don't have that right now. And you just click the button, and then you press and hold for 3 to 5 seconds, and then it just blends for 20 seconds. If there's nothing in it, it will blend for like 5 seconds, and it'll be done. But if there's stuff in it, it usually blends for a full 20 seconds. And then we have on the top here a strainer for seeds in case you're having fruits, and that's pretty much it. And then you can, once you want to drink it, you don't have to take the whole top off. You can just go like this and flip it open, and you can drink right from it.
Hi, everybody. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Trade Secrets by Tripletote. Today, I have a very special guest. His name is Jonathan Katz. At the same time, we have the special feature that for the first time, we're doing a podcast. So I'm going to see how this comes out, how you guys see it. Let me know how you like it. Jonathan Katz, I relate to him so much because, like me, he invented a consumer product. Like me, and in his own different way, some ways also even better than what I've done. His grind, his hustle is on point. He did everything mostly himself, and now he's reaping the benefits of all his hard work. Jonathan, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Ant. I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words.
Now, you have a product, you invented it, but you invented it in college, right? What school were you at?
Yes. Yeah, so I invented this. I created it basically end of freshman year in April at Springfield College.
Nice. And how'd you come up with the idea, and what's it called?
Yeah, so the idea is called BLENDi. It's a handheld portable blender, and I created it, or the inspiration came from when I was in the gym actually, and I had my blender bottle which had a shaker. It was a shaker bottle pretty much with that metal spinny thing in, and I was trying to have protein after my workout because the ideal window time frame after a workout is 15 minutes to have protein. So right after you're done with a workout, you want to get that protein in, right? So I put some protein in the shaker bottle, and I was shaking it up, and I took a sip, and like you could taste and you could feel the clumpy protein, and you were basically like chewing this protein, and you're not supposed to chew protein. You're supposed to drink it. It's supposed to be smooth. So I was a little upset, and I was like, man, I just worked out so hard. I don't want to have this gross drink. So I went back to my dorm, and I was like, is there any way, I'm thinking there, is there any way we can kind of replicate this at-home blending experience like with an actual blender, but at the gym? And so I started doodling on Microsoft Paint, and I just designed something really quickly, and I just kind of ran with it. And then I actually went on Upwork, and I found an engineer to actually legitimately draw 3D CAD drawings of what this possibly could look like. And that's how it started. I think within a week I had an engineer drawing something, and I did it on, I think I paid $100 for it on Upwork, and then that was pretty much the start.
That's awesome. Now, this is sidebar, but let people know what Upwork is, because it's a very useful tool. I've even used it with my patents.
Yeah, so Upwork, Fiverr, even Freelancer. I don't use Freelancer much, but Upwork and Fiverr are the best. And Upwork's a little more premium, a little more expensive, I'd say, but you're getting better quality. And Fiverr is super cheap sometimes, but you can get some good quality on there. It doesn't matter how cheap, but you kind of have to look at what's going on. So I actually got my logo and packaging done on Upwork as well, and I think I paid a little bit more for that because I wanted to be legit. I think I paid a couple hundred, but man, I mean it's easier than hiring someone and like bringing on a staff. You know what I mean? So when you and I are solo, or you have a small group, a small team, Upwork and Fiverr are honestly your friends.
Yeah, they're the best.
Yeah.
When I had to do a storyboard for an opportunity for shooting commercials, for about $100, I just was able to communicate with a person.
Yeah.
They were a freelancer overseas probably, but they did the whole storyboard, and they told you up front they would allow you 2 revisions.
Yep.
And I only had 1 revision because the work was so on point that I got.
Yeah.
And it's an inexpensive way of getting stuff done, especially if you're a solopreneur bringing stuff to market.
Yeah, for sure. And then you'll even see on Upwork and Fiverr there are like design companies on there, and there are also solo people. And a lot of the solo people are from Pakistan, India, you know what I mean? And $1 to them is worth a lot. So you can get really cheap prices.
And they're hustlers.
Yeah.
They really
and they
want
are.
the business.
Yeah.
Now, after you got the drawings you needed done from the technical drawings, what was your next step?
Yeah, so then I waited kind of a long time until sophomore year, and a lot kind of happened in between freshman and sophomore year. I, had the idea. It was called Steel Blade at the time, actually, and I thought it was really cool. Steel Blade, with like metal blades. That was like the defining thing, because there were products that were plastic spinners, and they would have just an oscillating like plastic stirrer, and it was okay. I bought one, but then it broke. It was like $40. Wow. I dropped it. It was cheap. It was plastic, and the oscillating was not that powerful. So I was like, we're definitely doing metal blades, and it's gonna be like a blender, but like on the go. So I got into business. I was not into business at all. I had an eBay store at the time. I was hustling, you know what I mean? So I always was, I guess, hustling, but never like I didn't know how to start a business. So I read this book called Think and Grow Rich, and honestly, that changed my life. It was a summer between freshman and sophomore year, and the book says like, oh, you don't have to keep reading this book until you get it. And I think I got maybe a couple hundred pages in, and I got it. It basically is your mind controls exactly, what you think you can do. It doesn't matter of like whatever outside powers are, whatever you can control, you can do, and whatever put your mind to and your mindset, you can do anything you want. So that kind of changed my whole mindset and mentality. And then I came back sophomore year, and I found this program called 3-Day Startup, 3DS, and with Mary Schoonmaker of Western New England. I don't know if you know her, but great lady, and she was one of the hosts there. And we basically had to. There was like I think 40 college kids, and I was like the only Springfield college kid because it was specifically Western New England, and I was lucky enough to get in there. And eight or nine people's like ideas basically got chosen, and so the rest of the people had to join that team, right? So every other team had 5 to 6 people on the team, and then my team was the only one that had one guy, and he was a I forget what type of engineer, but it was just me and him, and because I already had all the drawings, no one else had anything. They just had an idea, and I had like all the drawings I laid out. That's why I got chosen, I think. And then so it was just me and this kid, right? And we had to go around, and we went to the mall. We got a ton of customer interviews. We did about 50, I think, 50 or 60. And we got like price point, because we were showing the drawings. It's tough. It'd be easier to show them this.
That's right.
But we didn't. All we had was drawings. So that was a little bit better than what other teams had. And it was fun. I met a lot of good people. I actually stayed in contact with a couple of people from that still, including Pat Vincenti, who is the engineer. And so anyway, short story short, we went to Home Depot, and we bought a drill, and then we bought a Walmart $15 blender, and we took the blender, we kept like the housing of it, so like we kept all of this, all the plastic and the blade, and then in this bottom right here of the blender, we gutted it. So we took all this. I didn't do anything actually, but the engineer, Pat, did. And he took all that out. He then took the drill trigger and battery and hooked it up. So it was basically on the side of the blender, the trigger was there and the battery, and he hooked it into the wires all in there. So when you're pulling the trigger, it was actually spinning the blades. So it was proof of concept. And I can say that picture too. It's proof of concept that you can have a truly portable blender. And that was really cool. So after that, I was like, oh my God. And then people were like, man, this actually could be something pretty cool. You know what I mean? So it kind of got me excited, but it also got other people excited. And then I had people like, I guess, in my corner backing me. So they wanted to see me succeed. And then I got introduced to Valley Venture mentors, naturally enough.
Yep.
And then that was like the whole, I mean, that's what basically, if I didn't have VVM, I don't know if I would necessarily be here right now because of the resources I got. So if you want, I can continue the story with VVM.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so VVM is a very, very good resource,
yeah,
in the Northeast. If you don't live in Boston or New York, it is a great resource, a powerhouse, really,
yes,
for cities outside of, again, New York and Boston. They just connect you with so many different people who've done what you're trying to do. They connect you with the know-how of how to build out a business plan, a new age business plan, which is not a 50-page
yeah,
document. It's more of a slide deck, but they also let you know just the practical things you would have to do and the real life A to Z of what you need to do to bring a
yeah,
business to market, not theory, not what you learn in business school. And like you said, you already on your own went and did a lot of customer intercepts.
yeah,
You got a lot of people to give you ideas of what they would pay for, what they like about it, maybe what they don't like about it. VVM encourages all that. Like, I really want to give a shout out to them because we're doing Tripletote. I was in VVM as being advised as in a mentor program.
yep,
Then I was a mentor advising somebody else. Then I was in the accelerator program. Then I was a mentor in the accelerator
yep,
program, which is how me and Jonathan met. But they really take you through real life situations of how to get a business off the ground and going. And so, Jonathan, you had a boost because you got that information and was on a roll
yeah,
before VVM, and then
yeah.
VVM just gave you more momentum.
Yeah, and then I like you, I did the exact same trajectory. I was in the mentoring program. I got Jim Geisman as my mentor, and he was great. And he was a Harvard graduate, so he was way smarter than me at the time. And he was
I
just a
like how
good
you
guy.
said at the time, by the way.
Yeah, at the time, at the time.
Yeah.
Um,
You
no,
closing in on them.
what's funny is everybody's smart in their own way. You know what I mean? Smart is just it's a general term, but um, then I kind of took a break after the mentoring program, and I decided to go to Beverly Hills, LA, and intern with a startup company actually. And I got to intern directly under the CEO. It was like a company of 11 people.
Wow.
It was like one of the best experiences of my life, and I learned how to run a company. And this company was doing millions, of dollars
Yeah.
at the time, for such a small company, and it was really cool. I kind of got inspired even more so, and I was like, man, this business thing and entrepreneurship thing is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the people in LA are amazing. Everyone has a hustle. Everyone's grinding. You get like Lyft drivers who have their own business or have this huge Instagram page. You're like, what? Why are you doing Lyft? Um, so then I came back and I decided that I needed to find a manufacturer. So I basically contacted a lot of different resources at VVM, and a couple of people were helpful. But at the end of the day, it basically just came down to finding a manufacturer in China who manufactured blenders already, pretty much. And there's nothing really. There's nothing. The only thing unique about a blender is how it's designed. All of the components can be sourced, so
That's right.
that was good. So I was lucky enough to be able to find someone who could design this for kind of cheap, but also all the parts were already being used by other blenders they were making. So they decided to just do a different version, a little scaled down, and that's pretty much how I found the manufacturer. And then I got into the accelerator program. So once I had a couple, also Grinspoon was great. I did Grinspoon in the meantime. I was doing we had like I think the third prototype by Grinspoon, and
Wow.
we were generating a lot of interest. And then we got into the accelerator program, and then that's when like I met you, and I
Yeah.
met Own Practice, who are killing it right now. I
They're killing.
met Clarity, and they were all in my group. I mean, we had a Clarity, we had Own Practice, we had Med Kairos. I mean, we had all those guys, so that was a great
We
group.
shouldn't brag, but we kind of swept the awards.
Yes, yeah, we
We
did,
shouldn't
yeah,
brag, but we did kind of
yeah,
sweep the
we
awards.
did. And they're doing great now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all doing great. And I think I came in almost dead last for that presentation, which was surprising. And then we had Z-Rap, so I need to check in with her because she got into distributor. She was like the one who told me, oh, you should go to trade shows
Yeah.
and get into distributor. So I was like, okay, cool. So anyways, after the accelerator program, it kind of was interesting because I don't remember too much. Not too much happened after that. I just had the final product, the final prototype. and then we started selling, and then we got, I decided to do an Indiegogo launch, and then we had backing, and then so we got a little bit of funding from that, and then I got like a shipment of about 200, and I was like, whoa, this is insane. And it was my junior year going into senior year, so the summer of, right? And I have this like really cool picture, and I'm just sitting there with like me, like, with a BLENDi, and I have all the packages behind me in my dorm. And that was like so cool, because my dream of this blender that had the drill battery and the drill trigger on this $15 Walmart blender had now come full circle to me having actual physical product tangible to sell.
Now tell people on the manufacturing side how you were able to navigate the landscape and how easy or difficult it was to actually get the thing made properly, good quality, and get it shipped back to you.
Yeah, so it wasn't actually as challenging as I thought, surprisingly enough. And I left out a step. I actually created a connection at UMass, and we were part of a capstone project with the senior engineers there, and they designed. We had two different teams. We had so much interest. We had two different teams, which is a total shift from 3DS where I had one engineer. So we had 11 different engineers making two different prototypes, and one really nailed it, and one did a pretty good job. And the one that really nailed it actually won Best Entrepreneurial Award, and we actually beat Mark Gamel, and what's that product called? Fog Kicker. We beat Fog Kicker for Best Entrepreneurial Product. I don't know if you know what Fog Kicker is.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard his name.
Yeah, and he was on Today's Show, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that. He's a good guy, though. And so we took those drawings, and then I basically went to the manufacturers like, hey, look, can we design something similar? And so it was easy to find the manufacturer, easy enough. And then basically the whole process was communicating, which is a little tough because the communication barrier between languages is a little tough. And then kind of going back and forth, like, okay, so you want XYZ? Yes. Okay, we wanted to look at like this. Okay. And then basically I had to get more designed, like refined down to then send to them. And then we came up with a price point. And then they basically, they send you a sample, and you're like, okay, cool. This is, works well. Yeah. What color? Okay, cool. And then, there's a minimum order quantity. And when the only thing that gets kind of weird too is when you have to come up with like the booklet, the instruction booklet for it.
Yeah.
The type of packaging, right? So like this type of packaging that you see is actually the second iteration. The first iteration had a plastic top, this thing. And it would break. So that was the first awful thing. So the first shipment comes in packaging, right? And customs rips through it. They like rummage through it like it's like a bomb or something.
Yeah.
And they just throw it around. You can tell. So I got this shipment, and like literally, I would say 20 or 30 of the top of the packages are broken. The plastic is like broken somewhere. And I'm like, oh my god, this sucks. So. That didn't get figured out until about a year ago, and we came up with this packaging, and actually we're about to change what the outside looks like now.
Yeah.
To make it more retail friendly. But that was one of the things. The second thing is that the shipping is really costly, and it takes a long time. So if you're on a deadline, like now I've been going on deadlines because I have partnerships with certain companies to sell these. So you need to really like your planning and the inventory management / like capital funds, and you need to have for inventory, like you need to have that set. So every month you need to be ordering units because it won't get here by air. It has to be by sea now. It can't be by air because of the coronavirus.
That's right.
So by air is way more expensive, but it's 10 days. By sea is way cheaper, but it's 40 days. So you're planning almost literally 2 months ahead, and you're hoping that the partnerships you have will sell the product, or else you're just left with extra product and you didn't buy extra. So it's kind of like this weird cycle where you have to just kind of take guesses almost.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much a sure bet in December, like November Q4, that you're going to be selling a lot of product. So
do you like do everything you can throughout the year to mitigate risk and to hedge your bets, and then do you just stockpile in December, like no matter what, whatever I'm left with, I'm going to move it all in December anyway, or in Christmas time? Not December. Yeah, pretty much. And
it's been pretty. Last December was the best month we've ever had, and we sold thousands of units. And I was like, wow. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing. It was really cool. Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best. So a lot of your story to get to where you did a lot of knocking on doors and like individual meetings and trade shows. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
What was that part of the journey like?
That was probably the most fun part, I would say. I was like, I've had so many just interactions with engineers, business people, Valley Venture Mentor people, which are all over the board. You know what I mean? They're just entrepreneurs. That's it. They're all over the board, and that was the best part, is meeting these people. And sometimes I've stayed in contact with them, sometimes I didn't. But the cool thing is these people still remember who you are, right? Like if I go to Springfield now, I'm in Boston now, but if I go to Springfield, when I went to the Grinspoon conference, the fall and spring conference, I went to both each time. So I went to 4 different Grinspoon conferences.
Yeah.
By the 4th one, they're like, "Oh, you're that Blender kid." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the Blender kid." You know what I mean? So you just become known as someone who, because of all these connections, and you're just like seen, right? And then I got asked to like speak at an event in Springfield, and then I wanted to speak at my high school, so then I got to speak to the entrepreneurial classes at my high school, and I was like, that's when it kind of came full circle. I was like, oh man, this is like, life. It was like the difference between my freshman year of college reading that book, and then full circle. 3 years later, I'm speaking at my high school. It's the end of my college career. I'm like, man, this is really cool.
Yeah, that's the best, man.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like it's I don't deem myself successful. I don't deem myself even close to where I can go. But it was kind of this cool moment where I needed to reflect, and I needed to say, man, you've come a long way. Like you did a good job, and you got to keep going. You know what I mean? But it was a cool moment.
So what's next on the horizon for BLENDi? I know you're trying to sell more units, but tell me about other things you want to do to enhance the product or the brand or your product line. What you're working on next?
Yeah, so what's next is forming more brand partnerships. We just sold a lot of units to Arbonne, and so hitting up like Isogenics, Arbonne, which are I guess multi-level marketing. I'm not sure if that's like the politically correct
they like
term,
to call it network marketing.
Network marketing. Yeah. Doing that, because if you sell with those people, then they sell to other people. And, there's a lot of influencers you can use out there. But to me, I look at these network monitoring people as salesmen. They pretty much are. They build their own network. And I think there's a huge play and huge opportunity for them to sell this product. And then for, even going further, for Arbonne or Isogenics or whatever these, to actually buy BLENDi itself and put their logo on it, and then mass sell it. And it was really cool because I just had one of the Arbonne people buy it, like a lot of them, and then they're like, okay, well, how many if we want to put the Arbonne logo on it and make it green? I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, I'll get let's get back to you. So that's been cool. But I also want to now make the big retail play. E-commerce is good, but I think to have a legit brand, you need to have your influencers, you need to have your e-commerce done, you need to have retail, you need to have like influence, so you need to be widely known, right? You need all your social media. So the next play is a retail play, Now,
Jonathan, I can clearly say that on my show, you've probably brought the most step-by-step practical information about how to get any consumer product off the market, and you did it a very tactile way, where you actually talking to people. You didn't come up with the magic algorithm. You actually put in the work. That being said, could you speak a little on how you raise and manage the finance side of this? Like, how do you just get funded for this?
I did it all by myself. So it started with the eBay store, and I hustled that way. And I was like, man, there was one time, I'm always hustling, right? So I'm always flipping stuff on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, LetGo, anything like if I find an Xbox 360, this is like a good example I actually did. I find an Xbox 360 for $100 with like a games and a controller, I'll sell it for $200. All right, cool, that's an extra $100. You know what I mean? So I did it all by myself. I courted a lot of investors and a lot of partners, is what I call them. But, at the end of the day, you don't need it, I think. I think it's better to just build it yourself. And, I guess if you want to take it really big, you have to get investors, right, at some point. But at the point I'm at now, if I want to get an investor for $100,000, that's all. Honestly, I feel like all I could ask for, because then if I ask for any more money, they'd be like, well, you're not big enough, or that's literally like 100% of the company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you need to just do it by yourself, and you need to hustle and grind. And I work literally almost 7 days a week. I still work for the internship on the weekends. I send emails, and I make good money doing that. I still work a job, but I also do BLENDi on the side. So I have like multiple streams coming in to then fund BLENDi. So it's all in pretty much for BLENDi all the time. I'm always hustling to get more money to do it.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on the show, on a podcast. Again, I appreciate you giving so much detail and practical step-by-step information, because a lot of people, especially in my audience, they have ideas, but the feeling of they will have to build a mountain to get it done, you're letting them know that, look, you can get it done where you are, step by step, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Even in college.
Even in college, right?
Yeah, even in college.
So thanks for coming on. To my audience, I want to say thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Trade Secrets by Tripletote. You'll see that I'll drop a ton of videos and pictures of the BLENDi. Could you even show the BLENDi in motion for these guys?
Yeah, sure. So I'll unblur this. Okay, so this is the actual unit itself, and all you have to do is hold the power button for 3 to 5 seconds, and it turns on, right? And so it'll blend for 5 seconds, and then once you're done, you can just flip open this top, and then you can drink right from it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then that's it.
Hey, thank you guys for tuning in, and Jonathan, thank you for being on the show. I'll see you next week.
Yes, see you. Thank you.
Yes.